Costa Rica. What we were doing a lot. Tire problems. So here's a family's taxidermy work. That's how they make a living. This is a caiman, they call it. It's some sort of crocodile. There's plenty of them down there. He gets them all prepared and sells them. This was the road to Jaco from Alajuela. And you get out into the middle of that river, you had to make a right-hand turn. If you didn't, right there you saw him make it, you would fall into a big hole. This guy fell in the hole. There was water pouring in the side of into the Jeep through that window. You see him there, he was opening the door to let the water out. Some monkeys hanging up in a tree. So this is the road to Avellanas. And to get to it, you come off a road. You had to like drive through this person's yard almost to get to this part of it, to get down to Avellanas. It wasn't marked or anything, but we found it. The only time we saw any other traffic on this road was an ox cart. We met an ox cart one day. But we got around each other. There was nothing on the beach at Avellanas in those days. There was one house. A guy had a house with an ice cooler. There's no power. And he did have beer and sodas in the cooler. And he even got us to drink some cold beer with raw turtle eggs in it. I guess it was some kind of an initiation or something, but hey, after a few beers you'll drink a turtle egg. It's probably, couldn't do that now, they'd arrest you probably. This is Tamarindo. That's the south end of the beach. That's the furthest south you could go on Tamarindo. Fox Surfboard, St. Augustine, Florida. I think that was just a bus that they found there and they put their name on. A little graffiti work. That's my buddy Ron inside the Toyota. This was Nogie's bar at the time. We'd eat dinner there fairly often. You'd have to let them know, like before noon, that you're going to have dinner there that night. And then everybody would come at 5 o'clock, whoever was eating. And they'd have one big meal at 5 o'clock for whoever was there that night. And this was Henry's bar. I think it was called Third World Bar. May still be called Third World Bar. Maybe there's still, for all I know. They were adding on a little more space, putting on some thatch roofing. There were times when the ocean actually would come up into the bar on a really high tide with a strong surge and an onshore wind. Randy harassing the roosters. That's where we stayed at the Zulimar. The only other place to stay was across the street at the Hotel Doria. Just this giant hotel. It's expensive too. We could only afford to eat there. We couldn't afford to stay there. Although they did have air-conditioned rooms. Our rooms had fans. But hey, we were there for the waves. This was one day, the only day this spot actually broke. It was right exactly behind the big hotel. It was February 28th. I remember that because it was my birthday, though I can't tell you what year it was. But we had been surfing Avianis that morning, and the wind's just blowing too hard at Avianis offshore. You couldn't drop in anymore. It was just too hard. But we were sitting there, since it was my birthday, we went to the hotel and we were having some cervezas and watching this little wave. Nobody ever surfed there. I'd never even seen a wave there, but we couldn't tell if it was big enough to ride, so we paddled out and we found a nice, fun little 2-3 foot wave, and it was a great surprise. That's Randy Gettings. Randy Gettings. The Gettings brothers, Randy, Sandy, and Scott. That's now Dr. Scott. And that's now retired Dr. Scott. That's me, Antonio on the nose. That's my Ronnie Rainey shape board. Ronnie Rainey shaped that for me before I left. He was up out of Ormond Beach. Him and Mike Katave were good buddies. In Flamingo, it was just a driveway off the main road. There was no marked sign or anything, but we had a hard time finding it. Had to drive over this little cattle ditch. or this bridge that was made out of pipes so that the cattle couldn't get across it. But it was just a driveway. We come down here. There was nothing here but some houses and sand and water. It wasn't very good waves that day, so we didn't surf. And we never came back to Flamingo. There was better surf, or there was surf we could find elsewhere, so that's where we surfed. And there weren't any restaurants or anywhere to get a drink or food there. I imagine you could walk up to one of the houses and ask them. They'd probably give it to you. Everybody was so nice. And that sunset at Flamingo. I wonder what that place looks like now. I can only imagine. Okay, this is Tamarindo, kind of near the river mouth. There's a couple of big rocks down there. This was just to the south side of those big old rocks. That's Gordon. The guy on the left's Randy. This guy with the Fox surfboard, he's from Australia. He hitchhiked to Costa Rica from Australia. He's hitchhiking around the world. Of course, where there's water, he has to ride on a boat. Sorry, I was gone. I had to get the music back on. Oh, just in time to see myself get in the little tube. A couple of them. There's Ron White. Couldn't get inside that one. This is Scott Gettings, Dr. Scott Gettings. Somehow we switched to Avianis. I thought That's the Ventures playing Apache in the background. That's Sandy. He's the youngest brother. He was just learning to surf. But he took off on the biggest waves probably. So this is a Channon surfboard I had, a 6-7 pintail, single fin. Channon Diffenderfer used to make surfboards. This was just a Channon. I'm not sure what's happening with my music. It keeps going off for some reason. The playlist isn't wanting to work. But let's see if I can't find some more music here. See if I can get a song. I can't get my playlist loaded properly. Anyway, here's some more music. Seems like I'm only get 2 minutes at a time. Well, looks like we're at the end of the movie anyway. So hey, appreciate